Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, I'm your name, and today we're diving into one of the most fascinating stories in automotive history. We're talking about Volkswagen, the brand that literally means people's car in German. Now, I know what you're thinking. Another car video? But trust me, this story has everything: political intrigue, engineering genius, a beetle that conquered the world, and one of the biggest scandals in corporate history. So buckle up, because this is going to be a wild ride. And hey, if you enjoy deep dives into brands that change the world, hit that subscribe button and ring the bell. We've got tons of content like this coming your way, and I promise you won't regret it. All right, let's get into it. So, here's where things get uncomfortable right off the bat. Volkswagen's origin story is problematic, to say the least. Picture this. It's 1930s Germany. Adolf Hitler has just come to power, and he's obsessed with this idea of motorizing the German people. At the time, cars were luxury items. Only the wealthy could afford them. Hitler wanted to change that. He envisioned a car that every German family could own. In 1934, Hitler approached Ferdinand Porsche, yes, that Porsche, with a challenge. Design a car that could carry 2 adults and 3 children, reach speeds of 100 km/h, and cost no more than 1,000 Reichsmarks. That's roughly equivalent to a few $1,000s today. Porsche got to work, and by 1938 the first prototypes were ready. The car had a distinctive rounded shape, an air-cooled engine in the back, and it was unlike anything else on the road. The Nazis called it the KDF-Wagen, Kraft durch Freude, meaning strength through joy. But here's the dark part. The factory that was built to produce these cars, it was constructed using forced labor. And when World War II broke out, the factory stopped making civilian cars altogether and started producing military vehicles instead. By the time the war ended in 1945, only a handful of civilian vehicles had been made. The factory was in ruins, and the entire project seemed doomed. Enter the British. After Germany's defeat, the factory ended up in the British occupation zone. A British army officer named Major Ivan Hurst was put in charge of the bombed-out facility. And here's where the story takes an incredible turn. The British military needed vehicles, so Hurst ordered the factory to start producing cars again. They painted one of the rounded vehicles in British Army colors and showed it to military officials. The order came in: 20,000 vehicles. But what should they call it? The Nazi branding obviously had to go. Workers and locals had a nickname for the car because of its round shape. They called it the Käfer, which means beetle in German. In English-speaking markets, it became the Beetle, and just like that, an icon was born. In 1949, the factory was handed back to German control, and Volkswagen became a German company once again. The man who took the helm was Heinrich Nordhoff, a brilliant executive who had one vision: make the Beetle a global phenomenon. And boy, did he succeed. Throughout the 1950s and 60s, the Beetle became a symbol of Germany's economic miracle. It was affordable, reliable, and quirky. It wasn't trying to be flashy or luxurious. It was just honest, practical transportation. The Beetle made its way to America in 1949, but it really took off in the 1960s. And this is where Volkswagen pulled off one of the greatest marketing campaigns in history. While American cars were getting bigger, flashier, and more chrome-covered, Volkswagen went the opposite direction. Their ads were simple, honest, and self-deprecating. "Think small" became one of the most famous advertising slogans ever. They embraced the Beetle's quirks instead of hiding them, and American consumers loved it. By 1972, the Beetle broke a record that had stood for decades. It surpassed the Ford Model T as the best-selling car of all time, with over 15 million units produced. But Volkswagen knew they couldn't rely on one car forever. Throughout the 1970s and 80s, they expanded their lineup dramatically. The Golf, launched in 1974, became another massive hit. It was the Beetle's spiritual successor: practical, well-built, and perfect for European cities. The GTI version turned it into a performance icon and basically invented the hot hatch segment. Then there was the Passat, the Jetta, the Polo. Volkswagen was becoming more than just the Beetle company. They were becoming a full-range automaker. They also started acquiring other brands. They bought Audi, Seat, Skoda, and later Bentley, Bugatti, Lamborghini, and Porsche. The Volkswagen Group became one of the largest automotive manufacturers in the world. But with great size came great challenges. By the 2000s, Volkswagen was struggling with quality issues, especially in the American market. Their cars were seen as unreliable and expensive to maintain. The brand that once stood for honest, simple transportation was losing its way. They needed to rebuild trust. And one of their strategies was to position themselves as a leader in clean diesel technology. Their TDI engines promised great fuel economy with lower emissions. It seemed like the perfect solution for environmentally conscious drivers who still wanted performance. Which brings us to September 2015. The US Environmental Protection Agency dropped a bombshell. Volkswagen had been cheating on emissions tests. Here's what happened. VW had installed software in about 11 million diesel vehicles worldwide that could detect when the car was being tested for emissions. During the test, the car would run in a special mode that reduced emissions. But on the road, in normal driving conditions, these cars were emitting up to 40 times the legal limit of nitrogen oxides. This wasn't a mistake or an oversight. This was deliberate, systematic fraud that went on for years. The fallout was catastrophic. Volkswagen's CEO resigned. The company faced billions of dollars in fines, lawsuits, and recalls. Their reputation was in tatters. The scandal even led to criminal charges against executives. But here's what's interesting. Despite everything, Volkswagen survived. They paid over $30 billion in fines and settlements. They recalled and fixed millions of vehicles, and most importantly, they completely pivoted their strategy. In the wake of Dieselgate, Volkswagen made a bold decision. They would become the world leader in electric vehicles. They committed tens of billions of dollars to EV development. They created a new platform called MEB, Modular Electric Drive Matrix, designed specifically for electric cars. And they started launching electric vehicles across all their brands. The ID.3 and ID.4 are selling well in Europe. They've partnered with other manufacturers to build charging infrastructure. They're even electrifying the iconic vehicles. There's now an electric version of the classic VW bus called the ID. Buzz, and it's absolutely gorgeous. The question is, can Volkswagen truly reinvent itself? Can a company with such a complicated history, from its Nazi origins to Dieselgate, become a leader in sustainable transportation? The jury's still out, but one thing is certain. Volkswagen knows how to survive. They've weathered world wars, economic crises, and massive scandals. They've gone from Hitler's pet project to a symbol of the counterculture movement to a corporate giant to an environmental villain. And now they're trying to become an EV leader. So what's the takeaway here? I think Volkswagen's story teaches us a few things. First, your origins don't have to define your future. Yes, VW started under horrific circumstances, but the Beetle became a symbol of freedom and individuality in the 1960s. Second, even the mightiest can fall. Dieselgate proved that no company is too big to face consequences for unethical behavior. And third, reinvention is always possible. Whether Volkswagen succeeds in becoming an EV leader remains to be seen, but they are definitely trying. What do you think? Can you separate a brand from its history? Is Volkswagen's electric push genuine or just damage control? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. I read every single one, and I love hearing different perspectives. And listen, if you made it this far, you're exactly the kind of viewer I want on this channel. We are building a community of people who love diving deep into the stories behind the brands and products that shape our world. So here's my ask. If you haven't already, please hit that subscribe button. Click the bell so you don't miss future videos. We've got episodes coming up on Toyota, Tesla, and some other brands you definitely won't want to miss. Also, give this video a thumbs up if you found it interesting. It really helps the algorithm show this to more people who'd enjoy it. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Drive safe, everyone. This is Business Explained.